Hi, everyone. Just as an intro, my name is Emma Munson. I am an undergraduate at the University of St. Thomas in Minnesota. I am studying elementary education and STEM education. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. So this is a presentation on the playground, and then we'll move into parachutes. So first, who is the Playful Learning Lab? We are an undergraduate research lab at St. Thomas. We focus heavily on learning through play, and this comes with a wide variety of projects we have had over the years. If you want to look up more, the link is down below, playfullearninglab.org. Some of our major projects are OK Go Sandbox, where we are partnered with the rock band OK Go, and we have a website that has a ton of educational resources based off of their music videos, where we have activities and behind the scenes videos included on there. Our deaf education program, which we will get into a little bit more on the next slide, but we work with two different local deaf and hard of hearing schools doing STEAM workshops. The Minnesota Children's Museum is one of our newer partners, and we work with them to develop exhibits and workshops, which right now is all moving virtually, and we're working on finding a way to continue play and trying to get people to visit the museum virtually, as we cannot go in person. Next, we have Circus Science, which we are partnered with a local trapeze center where we do a lot of electrical engineering work and focusing on how we can get their uniforms to light up as they fly through the air. And lastly, one of our newer ones that has developed since the pandemic is the Playline, which is a daily meetup for formal and informal educators where we meet for 30 minutes a day and talk about anything. We've talked about the pandemic, school, just how life is going, trying to get through it together and share resources throughout the week. So our deaf education partnerships, we are partnered with two different schools in Minnesota. So Metro Deaf School, which is in St. Paul, and Minnesota State Academy for the Deaf in Faribault. At both of these schools, when we pre-pandemic, we were doing weekly STEAM workshops for our deaf and hard of hearing students. This involved a lot of hands-on work, which includes parachutes, which is something that we'll talk about in a little bit, and just a whole variety of projects, and really introducing these kids to STEAM and what it means to be an engineer or a scientist, and just working through the engineering design process in general. So what is the playground? So Playground was our summer camp this past summer, and it was developed first, we were thinking just for Metro Deaf School, as they were our closer partner, but then we decided we were going to open it up to the deaf and hard of hearing community near us, because that was a group that we decided we really wanted to work with, and we had the resources to help them. So it was an 8-week virtual camp. Everything was on Zoom or on our website. Each week, kids would receive a box that was hand-delivered by one of our Playful Learning Lab members, and it had all the resources and materials that they would need for that coming week. So each week had a theme, such as science and engineering, OK Go, sandbox, games and magic, which we partnered with our circus science friends to do that week. And we tried to bring in a lot of different partners that we had to keep it fun, keep bringing new people in and sharing what we had with these kids. So for every lesson / activity that we had, there would be a lesson plan with an accompanied video. And in this video, we would be teaching the kids a little bit of how to do the project, but mostly we would tell them these are the materials you need. This is maybe what your finished project will look like. Or we just kind of gave them a brief summary of what it was so that they could go off and do it on their own, because we didn't want to give them the answer. We wanted them to go out and do it on their own. So all lessons and videos were done in English, Arabic, Spanish, and American Sign Language. So the English, Arabic, and Spanish were all done by Playful Learning Lab members, and our American Sign Language videos were done by some of the teachers and staff at Metro Deaf School. We really wanted to focus on this part of the camp because this camp was about getting our resources out and making them widely accessible for a wide range of students, not just the students that speak English or just the students that use American Sign Language. We wanted to really open it and close that gap of accessibility. So throughout the week, Playful Learning Lab members acted as counselors and met on Zoom with the kids where we were discussing projects, doing projects together, or just hanging out, sharing favorite songs, favorite foods, just having a good time and giving the kids a way to meet with each other. So this is a brief overview of what our website looks like. We'll go through that after this, and I will show you a little bit more in depth. So we talked about this a little bit, but how does the playground increase accessibility? The 4 languages are a really big part of this because it is not targeted at one specific group. We wanted to open it as far as we could. We are working on also getting Somali translations and adding in that 5th language. And every week, all of the materials that these students received were completely free, of no cost to them. And in our first week box especially, we focused on making sure that every kid had the same things. So we made sure everyone had a pair of scissors, a glue stick, a box of crayons, anything, a pencil even, just something to make sure that we all were on a level playing field the entire camp. And so how was the playground affected by the pandemic? It was really what led us to create this camp because we hadn't seen our friends at Metro Deaf School or Minnesota State Academy for the Deaf in a few months. And we realized that we really missed working with them and hanging out with them and just learning through play with them. So we decided to start the playground and find a virtual way to work with them. So now we are going to look at the website. So first, when we get in here, we see that we have this listen to text button. That was our design lead. She was really working on the accessibility of the website to make sure that everyone was able to understand it and work through it. There are also, it works really well if you have to make the text bigger or change the colors or anything. It's really accessible that way. So as we look through, you can see each week that has its own graphic and works through. Now we have some ASL signs, and these are done by one of our partners at Metro Deaf School, just giving some basic signs that you might use while we are on Zoom. So if we take a look at one of the lessons, like if we look at our Lego week, when you go in, it'll have each lesson with a picture on top, and then you are able to go and view the lesson. So this one's the Lego duck. So if you've done this one, you get a little pack with a few pieces, and you're supposed to make a duck in as many ways as you possibly can. So we have each of our lesson videos in all 4 languages, along with our lesson plans on the side. So we open up a lesson plan. They are all formatted the same way with the theme week that it goes with, grade, time needed, some pictures, and the procedure. Some of the procedures are more outlined and detailed than others, depending on how much information we really wanted to give the kids, because a lot of this is open to their creativity, and we want them to make it their own and not do exactly what we did. So one of them that we worked a lot on was this parachutes. This is one of my personal favorites. But this one again is in all 4 languages with our lesson plans on the side. So here's our parachute lesson. I'm going to come back to this in a minute after we work through the whole website. So we also have Playbook, which is another project that stemmed out of the playground, where we have these like coloring guides and stuff, and they have different games throughout them that foster learning, but also aren't too summer school like. where kids are able to color and make it their own. And these are also in English, Spanish, and Arabic. And these we are still producing. And so the website as a whole has a lot of information on it, and we're actually we're reworking it right now and making it where you're going to be able to search by topic or by lesson so that it's not these weekly themes. It's going to be spread out a little bit differently so it's a little bit more accessible for teachers to work with. And we will continue putting new lessons up throughout the year as we come up with them. So parachutes. This is really personally one of my favorite activities. So this one is pretty simple. We gave a few options and examples on here, what it could look like. But really, we want this one to let the kids have a lot of fun with it and rework it a few times. So if we start, I brought a few different materials with me. If you happen to have materials with you and want to do it with me, that's great. So I just have a few. I have some string. I have a balloon. I've never made it with a balloon, but I thought it could be fun. And then I just have scissors and tape, and then a plastic bag. I have tissue paper. And then I also have my little Lego minifigure. So if you don't have a little Lego person, you can also do this with anything else that you want to attach just to give it a little bit of weight that you have to keep it up in the air. So I've done it with, I've had a little Dixie cup and put a little pebble in it, or you could just make a ball of tin foil or anything like that. Or if you have a different figure that you can use. So for this one, the challenge is to make your minifigure or passenger fall to the ground as slowly as you possibly can. So this one is super fun for kids because you get to test it, and if it doesn't work out as great as you thought it would, you get to do it again. And it's really one where we let them try as many times as they want. It's usually an independent activity, but you most definitely could make this in partners because then they can bounce ideas off of each other and make a little bit of brainstorming, processing, go through the engineering design process. I think this one's a pretty good one for that because it's not too high stakes and it just lets them have a little bit of fun. So for this one, I have one pretty much made where I just used a simple piece of tissue paper, and then I used 4 pieces of string on the sides on each corner, and then I'm just going to tape my Lego person to my parachute. Another way kind of to make it more fun is you can make it like it has to be sort of like a hot air balloon where you have to make a little basket or seat for your person, but then you also have to account for that extra weight that it is holding. So my favorite way to have kids do this is have them all go up to the top of the stairs or something like that. At Metro Deaf School, we have a really great setup. They go up to the library and can drop them off the ledge, and then everyone gets to watch them fall down, and watching them run down and grab them is so much fun. But I wonder if we can see a little bit. When we drop it, then opens up and falls. So a really fun thing that I've found with this one is having them experiment with the size of the tissue paper that they use. So if they choose to make a simple one like that, does it change if we have a really big piece of tissue paper or if we have a really small piece of tissue paper, or does it change if the strings are different lengths? All of these are really good factors to start discussion and keep them making and keep them producing new ones rather than just being fine with the first one that they've made. I think it's just a really fun one to see all the creativity of the kids, and even with like this one, the balloon, I was thinking we could even blow up the balloon and attach the person to the balloon and see if that falls down slowly or not. So yeah, that is one of my favorite ones. And it also goes hand in hand with the egg drop challenge, I think, because it kind of gives that same effect of falling down and how the weight affects it. And the kids have also had a fun time with the egg drop. That one just tends to be a little bit messier than parachutes. So yeah, I will open it up if we have questions. Otherwise, I can take us back to the website and go through a few more of our lesson plans, because we have a really great design team that works through, that we send all of our lessons to, and they take care of them for us, which is so great. But yeah, so we'll look at like coding and tech. I think this week is really great. We wanted not everything to have to be on the computer. We wanted them to get off of Zoom. We wanted them to get off of the internet for a few days, especially in the summer. We didn't want to make this too reliant on being on your computer. It's just too much, especially for kids. So we have a few that are coding unplugged and some that you do work with them on the computer. So we worked a lot with Scratch and creating Scratch guides on how to change everything, change your little sprite, make them move around, make a game, or really anything. Artbots, this is another one of my favorites. I've done this one many times. That's actually my Artbot that's featured. But this one, they are able to make a little cup move, and they put a motor on it. They work with the take apart process, and they move it around and play with it. And then some of our unplugged ones were really fun too. We taught them what binary numbers are and how to work with those. We also gave them a decoder sheet where they got to work with coding things outside of the realm of just on the computer. And then coding chords is a really cool project that we created. It's actually another one that we partnered with Metro Deaf School for. And PBS Sci Girls did a episode about it where we taught the girls how to code through our Code and Chords software, which takes music and sound and assigns it different colors and shapes depending on how you program it. So that was a really awesome project that we wanted to highlight again. Yeah, so I think that is all I have, unless we have any questions. Yeah, so all of this is free online. If you want to go, the website is playgroundcamp.org. And so this question is, what is OK Go? So OK Go is a rock band, and they write songs and perform like any rock band, but they create really cool music videos. One of them is they do some anti-gravity stuff and they're in a plane, super cool. But we take their music videos, and they have another really cool one is their illusion one. They have these insane illusions that I can't even fathom doing them. But then we take them and we make them into educational lessons that you can use in the classroom. So, for example, with the illusion ones, we take their illusion lesson, and then we make lesson guides that are based off of these ideas. So one of them is illusion in a box. So you take just a regular plain old shoe box, and then you put a small hole square in one end of it, and then you make an illusion inside. So when you're looking through that small square, what is in the middle ends up working together. So for example, we do a pipe cleaner one. So all the pipe cleaners are at really weird angles, but then when you look through the hole, it makes a cube. And so these ones are all that ones that you can do with students. So we've had a lot of teachers do them in the classroom. We've done them at the OK Go band's concerts. We bring booths there and do these types of things with the kids as they come through. Yes, OK Go Sandbox is a really big one for teachers. We get a lot of teacher feedback. We have a lot of teachers do the lessons in their classrooms and then give us feedback before we originally publish them. So yeah, those ones are really fun. We're constantly updating those and working with the band. We actually did a really cool one over the pandemic right at the end of the year. I think it was May, June-ish. And it was, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's Art Together now, where the band made a video of themselves all on different Zoom squares. And then we made it that you made art together. So for the lab, we made one together where everyone was on a Zoom call and we all held up a letter that then spelled out Art Together Now. And then we took a screenshot of it, and that was our art piece together, which was really cool. And kids have been, if you use the hashtag, then it all gets filtered onto that part of the website. These lessons are made for all ages. We have some that are specific to elementary, middle school, or high school, and some that are kind of open. And we have a lot that can be changed a little bit depending on which age group. So like for illusions, we have some that are a little bit easier that we think are more elementary level, but then we have some that are a little bit harder that could be upper elementary, but also could be more high school. And we have some math ones. Those ones are a little bit trickier. So those ones are mostly geared towards high school. And even within the high school level, we have some that are a little bit easier and some that are a little bit harder. So they really all can be adapted to fit different grade levels. And we're constantly looking for feedback. So if you ever have anything that you think we're missing and that you think we could do better, we're always open to hear that. All right, well, I think that's all we have. So one more time, the playground website is playgroundcamp.org. And the Playful Learning Lab website is playfullearninglab.org. And so if you go to the Playful Learning Lab one, you'll get everything that we work on with links out to our other websites. But thank you so much.